Hey, yo, welcome to the QB School Do It Live. This is a big game week. Lots to talk about. Already into the college football film. Caleb Williams all over the place. Excited to get in here and talk some live. It's been a minute. It's probably going to be more often, if I'm being honest, just because of what it looks like as far as off-season film, draft film, whatever. Clean up this desk a little bit. Jeez Louise. Fired up. Appreciate everybody coming in. Make sure you hit that like button for me. See if I can get this thing to work. And we're good to go. Crank this thing out. Have some fun with this thing. I certainly appreciate you guys coming in, supporting the channel, all those types of things. We'll get to a bunch of stuff as we get going here, but everything we want to talk about. Super Bowl wise. Maybe get into the draft stuff. My guy Michael checking in. What's good, sir? Appreciate seeing the familiar names in the chat. Let's dive into this thing. What we got? What we want to talk about? We got Ben hyped up. Christopher in the house. Ben Bayard. Every time I watch the 49ers now and I see that little running back motion in the backfield, all I think about is, wow, JT would not like that. Well, let it go. I'm excited to see what they do. I mean, if there was ever a situation, right, and an opportunity for the long con, right, the long game, what are we setting this up for? I know they've used it a few times with the wide motion, bringing Christian back across. There's got to be something. I'm telling you, there's got to be something. There really should be. Nate, what's good? Boom. Again, I appreciate all you guys checking into the chat. I'll try to do my best to kind of get to as many questions as I possibly can. Beat us. Got jokes already. I have been deep in the Caleb Williams film. So what did I share yesterday? The last game, UCLA, best uniform game in football, in my opinion. Right after this, I will share the Caleb Williams Oregon game. Hopefully going to share the Caleb Washington game tomorrow. If I get to it, everything goes smoothly. And then I was thinking I was going to do all of the Caleb Williams. I don't know. I'm losing interest. Not necessarily losing interest in Caleb Williams, just think that's a lot of one chunk. So I might go 3 games or something like that. So I'll probably mix it up after the Washington game. But I will tell you, for watching, what have I watched? 4 halves, 8 quarters, 2 full games at the end of the season when they were losing games. He makes number 1 overall pick throws almost every half, almost every quarter. Just throws where I find myself laughing at how ridiculous they are. Now, does he do things that are going to cause him probably a little bit of issues or growing pains, like some hero ball? Does he do things that you would see all the time on Sunday from most guys? No, but he is a freakish talent, and he's going to get some organization really, really excited. See if I can pop out my chat here. I forgot to pop it out before we started. I can actually read these comments. All right. So much soul. Thoughts on Drake May and Jaden Daniels? I will have a number of thoughts on them. They're probably my next 2 quarterbacks up. Maybe Bo Nix in there for the quarterback school draft stuff. Mr. Myrtle, that underhand was ridiculous, bro. I appreciate the support. That underhand it just come out of nowhere too. He's just like boop around the guy. But he throws like that like every, honestly, multiple times a half, where I'm just like, God, did I remember that correctly? Yeah, he did it. It's wild. It really is wild. The thing I like about it, I think I talked about it in one of those games. I forget which one. Maybe I just had a conversation with myself. But his off-platform throws, or his like unique arm angle throws, I think guys in the past have been able to do types of those things. I think the most recent example is like Zach Wilson. Is a guy who in college had a lot of those throws, or some of those throws. Caleb's, I think, are going to be a little bit more replicable in the league because they're so natural. They're not like, like dropping it down to show off. He's doing it around people. He's doing it like in scramble drill hook shots. Things that I think translate more to Sundays. So I'm excited. I mean, he really is fun to watch. I think I talk about it a lot in this most recent Oregon video. Appreciate the super chat there, Michael. I'll get to it in a hot second. What was I going to say? Oh, it's going to be the blend for me with Caleb of being able to keep what he does as a playmaker and then just refine or polish a little bit of the in-phase, on-time, in-rhythm stuff to carry both. And I think he can. Michael Lee, hey, JT. Love all your content. I want to do some film study of this season after the season. As a beginner, would you suggest starting with coverage and concept ID or otherwise? I want to do some film study of this season after the season. As a beginner, would you suggest starting with coverage and concept ID or otherwise? Michael, I've never thought about it. I would suggest starting small. So coverage and concept ID sound like massive, massive funnels to me. I would pick like your favorite play, your favorite concept, your favorite team, situation, player, and try to like hone down on something kind of like super niche-y and see if that resonates and you can make sense of it and then maybe get bigger. Because if you go big to start, I think it's hard to make sense of it. And that's coming from a guy who does hour videos very often. So I should listen to my own advice. Bradley Davis, are you planning on to get to Joe Milton? Probably. I'm probably not going to do as many of Joe Milton as I'm going to do of other guys. The guys I'm most interested in, right off the top of my head, obviously Caleb, Drake May, Jane Daniels, Michael Penix, Bo Nix, McCarthy. Those would be like the lead guys. Appreciate all 200 of us hanging out in here right now. I don't know if I talked about it in this live yet. I forget. My guy Joe checking in. What up, guy? Finally made it live. Appreciate you. Oh, no. Joe, is there a mess? Oh, before I get to Joe's question, I want to say I'm having major issues with the college football sharing of film. Okay. So they're almost exclusively, I can't envision them being on YouTube anytime soon. So the reality is if you like that, it's not necessarily like, this is not like a driver to get more patrons. The Patreon thing is going great. It really is. It's the only way I can share it right now and feel somewhat comfortable that I'm not going to get some like, bizarre ramifications coming back. So had significant issues, multiple different sites that I think are easy to use. And so this is where we're at. So hopefully it continues to work right now through the Patreon community. We'll see if it does. Joe, finally made it live. Wanted to ask, is there a massive difference as a player whether or not the OCDC is on the field as opposed to in the booth? A big deal was made in San Francisco earlier this year on D. I couldn't really give you an answer as far as the defensive thing necessarily, anecdote as it related to me as a player in the league. I can tell you, I'll talk about it from a player perspective and then like a lower level coach perspective. So as a player, it didn't really matter to me if the coordinator was in the booth or on the field, as long as you had that, like, the access. So if you had a great relationship with the quarterback coach and he was on the field and he could kind of be the bridge between the OC who's in the booth and kind of say, hey, what's going next? What are we expecting? What'd you see? And be the communicator. So then there was nothing lost in the telephone conversation about it. Not necessarily the exact telephone, but, playing the game telephone. I was fine with that. I probably preferred that. Now, coaching at lower levels, I called plays. I was on the field. The guy, good buddy of mine, who was our defense coordinator, he started on the field and then went to the booth just because he preferred the booth. So it can be a personal preference as well. I really probably think it's overblown. I think some guys, maybe guys who consider themselves more like rah-rah guys, like energy leaders, probably prefer to be on the ground. I do think it is significantly harder to see the game. I think it's way easier to be in the booth, if I'm being honest, because you move the emotion of the sideline and you sure as hell can see better. So if you're on the field, you really can't see everything. So you got to trust certain things. I think it's easier at the high school level because if you're on the field and it's a run play, I don't need to look at this back end. If it's a passing play, I don't need to look, on the backside where I don't think it's going to go. So you can kind of be more fine-tuned. I think it's harder to do that on defense because you don't know where the hell it's going to go. So yeah, it matters, but at the end of the day, I think it's personal preference for the coach. Lead Siege. Appreciate it. Thoughts on A. Richardson? Nothing more than what they were early in the season. Excited to see what he's able to do. Certainly want him to stay healthy. I think that organization in offense sure feels like it's trending on the up. Again, appreciate all you guys coming in, hitting that like button. Little midday chat, little Super Bowl week chat. What day is this today? Tuesday. I feel like the Super Bowl week now has changed. There was some media thing last night. Didn't see any of it. I am excited for the game, though. I'm not going to lie. Thought there were some really good previews. What was the preview that I read recently? Oh, Sumer Sports put out a free preview that I thought was pretty good that covered a number of things that I thought were going to be important in the game. So if you're interested in that, go over there, check out Sumer Sports. They're not giving me anything for this. I just enjoyed it. Michael, what is the difference between a hook and a curl? Michael, that's a good idea for a video. I need to get in. I'm going to get back into, as I look for YouTube videos this offseason, because I'm going to probably stay away from the college football video. I am going to be getting back into the X's and O's vibe. So if you have ideas for that, probably don't put them in the chat because I'm not going to go back and read the chat after the video, but somehow come at me, whether email or Twitter or something. What's the difference between a hook and a curl? I think of a hook as an intermediate kind of route, 10 to 12. And at the top, you come right back to the quarterback. So I think of a stop route as up, straight like a Sella vertical, and then you come down the stem. A hook I think of as more get to your depth, we'll call it 12, and then you come back to the quarterback. A curl to me is a little bit more of we give you a little bit more freedom. It's not an expectation that for sure you're coming back to the quarterback. It's almost like you can curl in and around defenders. They're essentially synonymous in most systems. I feel like in some systems, the hook is the intermediate, the curl is the deep, vice versa. I don't know if anybody could give you a definite universal football difference, hook versus curl. Brian, Super Chat. Hey, JT, Bears fan here. Is there similarity concern about Fields and Caleb in terms of playing in structure and time to throw? I think when you watch the film with Caleb, there are certainly things where he does both. I think there are similarities when it comes to that, I would say he's probably better at both. He being Caleb, better at playing in structure and better with his ability to create to throw. Now, Justin's probably a better create to run situation, get vertical, but Caleb can run it a little bit too. Yeah, and anytime you get a guy who's so creative, meaning that he can extend plays and be positive extending plays, you're going to hold on to the ball longer. That's a fine line. I wish there was a differentiator between extend to create and just hold on to the ball in the pocket. Holding on to the ball in the pocket, problem. But Caleb is really good at avoiding sacks. So, but yes, you will see some similarities in that regard. DS, Shiam, something. $10 super chat. Appreciate it. Can't say your name, but I'll say thanks. Hey, JT, any thoughts on Bears Shane Waldron? I don't know anything about him. Seems like a guy who takes a lot of deep shots and improves time to throw for both Wilson and Smith. Honestly, seems like an ideal Fields hire to me. I don't know anything about him. I know people in Seattle that have spoken highly of him to me. I don't know anything about him. I think it's admirable what they were able to do with Geno 2 years ago, maybe not quite the same this year. I don't know what it says as far as, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're keeping Fields, they're not keeping Fields. I'm not sure that has anything to do with what the eventual decision at quarterback will be. Carson, Does your play calling change in the red zone? First super chat. Appreciate you. Does my play calling change in the red zone? I think it depends. I think if in the NFL, absolutely. Okay, in lower levels of football, even good high school football, I would say you definitely have plays that you like better in the red area. And so I everybody chunks them a little differently. I think the most universal way to chunk them would be in 5-yard increments. So like goal line, 2 to 5, 5 to 10, 11 to 15, 16 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 plus, 40 plus is how I used to do it. How did I used to do it? I used to do it that basic way at the high school level. And then I always used to like to have like, I call them like alumni shots or green zone shots, like farther back, like 30 or 40, where I always like to throw the ball in the end zone. So there was nothing worse for me than, especially on a team that struggled to run it, to get a big completion for like 19 yards and get the ball on like the 9-yard line. Like first and goal from the 9 is not great. And so, yeah, absolutely it changes. Just because you're trying to, and in the league, a very common saying is touchdown to check down. So do you have the shot? No, get it down. So you're not taking those sacks or negative plays. All good stuff. I appreciate it. I'm not going to be able to get to every single question in here, but I certainly appreciate you guys hanging out, talking a little ball. Ryan, super chat. As a former player and a dedicated content creator. Ooh, dedicated. Thank you. Thoughts on destroying pursuit on kicking in the NFL? Bro, I know nothing about it. I'm not that dedicated, I guess. Sorry. If I had to say, if someone was trying to become a kicker in the NFL, I would say that is a very, very difficult pursuit. Not that it's impossible, but man, I think people would be shocked at how good those guys are and how consistent they are. And it's just really is a thing of beauty. It is art when you see it up close, especially when they can do it in such critical moments and be so clean and precise and surgical in where the laces are, the operational element of it, in the elements. It's tough. It's tough. Mike, what did you think about how Baltimore abandoned the run? Oh, Mike, you got to become a patron. I think I did the full video of Baltimore abandoning the run. It was bizarre on many levels. I don't know. Felt like they were, trying to be something they're not. And I thought the film, I'm trying to remember exactly what I said. If you want to know in real time what I thought, just go watch the video. I'm sure there's like a 2-hour video of breaking down that game. So hop over there. Hey, Zeus. JT, you like Spencer Rattler as a sleeper in the draft? I have not watched Spencer Rattler play since maybe I did a video or two the last couple of years. Definitely watched him at Oklahoma. So I'm going to have to go back and watch more. I don't have a opinion one way or the other. Zay Izzy. Ever looked at Will Rogers out of Mississippi State? I think everybody looked at Will Rogers when they beat LSU that game. That's the game I remember. That was him, right? I haven't looked at like the all 22 or gone back to see exactly like anything recent. No. Got game, Gregory. Do you think sharks are fish? I don't think about it, Greg. Shane Paul, particularly at lower levels of college football and high school, do you think it's hard on quarterbacks to have different progression types, i.e. pure progression, open, close, read away from middle linebacker drop, etc.? No. Do you? I personally don't think so. I think as long as you're really clear and explicit and teach and train and drill, is it hard? I mean, if it's too hard, just don't do that. Don't call those plays. Make it 1, 2, 3. I had guys that I coached. I'll be really clear, and I tell them to their face, we were 1 and run or 1, 2 run. Like, there's no like open closed read. Like, no, dog. Like, that's not going to happen. Connor Hughes, please say something nice about the Eagles, JT. I'm really scared. Connor, I think Kellen Moore will install some hot answers. That's my hot take. We'll see. OU Tech. Big fan of your film analysis videos. When is Jalen Daniels video coming? Sorry if I missed it. Big fan though. It's probably coming sometime. Well, we'll see how the game goes this weekend. See how many videos I can suck out of the Super Bowl. But if I do, I'm going to do one more Caleb. Then I'm probably going to do some Drake May. And Jaden Daniels is going to be right after that. So if not next week, the following week. Hopefully that makes sense. So not this week, maybe next week, at the end of next week, probably the following week. But they're definitely going to be on the Patreon community. You did miss that part of it. Robert. Love the channel, JT. If you know, you know. Question, : pound for pound, which team do you believe runs the best drop back passing game in the NFL today? Much love, the Chiefs. And really, I like them just because they're so unique. And again, this will lead a little bit into the Super Bowl, but like the 49ers play so much zone. Travis Kelce kills zones. Patrick Mahomes and the relationship with him and Kelce as far as what we've been talking about on this channel. I know it sounds like a couple other places have now started to pick up this idea and made it a thing, but it's been a thing for a half a decade where Travis Kelce has the freedom to do what he wants. And as long as Patrick can see it and they're like on the same page with the leverage and the zone and the soft spots, he just throttles down. He just gets open. And like, I don't think every team can replicate that because I don't think every team has a Travis Kelce or Patrick Mahomes, but the ability that allows you to do, and the way that Kansas City has morphed from the Tyreek Hill blow the top off the coverage to a much more ball control-ish, create, timely extend plays from Patrick Mahomes. That's my favorite stuff. I also really love, it's not really drop back. I guess it's drop back. I love what Miami does with the anticipation and really what Burrow does. But really, that's more quarterback play than necessarily drop back passing game. So hopefully you got it, Robert. Brian H. What NFL QB is most underrated? Next highest ceiling. I'm not sure that they would be the same person. The highest ceiling, Patrick Mahomes? No? Yes? I'm assuming, right? I mean, does anybody else have a higher ceiling than how Patrick Mahomes is playing right now? Most underrated. I think coming out of this year, most underrated would probably be Baker Kirk. I don't know. Can someone tell me someone better than those two for underrated? Can't think of it. All right. What else we got here? Appreciate almost got 300 of you guys. Do me a favor as you come into this thing. Hit the like button for me. Keep this thing cranking. I certainly do appreciate your continued support with the channel. It means a lot to me. See if we can get this one to work. This is my new one. Oh, yeah, let's go. So the big dog, let's go to work thing to me is hilarious. My kids don't think it's quite as funny. They're slowly starting to pick up on it. My middle schooler, not as funny. But I hit people with the big dog all the time. And now I hit them with the let's go to work after. It's amazing. Oh, man. All right, Frank Garcia. Super chat. Appreciate you. Thoughts on Burrow Herbert debate? I don't know. Is there a debate? I probably would line up on the Burrow side of it. Herbert certainly can make some crazy, impressive throws. I don't know if there's another part of the debate that I'm not aware of. Crash the pond. Bigger QB school gripe. Your favorite motion or Chicago 2023 offense? For sure, the 2023 Chicago offense, for sure. The motion thing to me, the motion part of that McCaffrey motion, I get. Like, I really do. I talked about it, I think, today on Twitter with someone, and it actually stems from an interview someone shared with me. But Kyle talks about how they started using that because they thought it could get into their empty plays without allowing the defense to check to empty. And that makes sense to me with the motion. Where I get pissed is where they do that and then they shift. So when he gets out there and gets set and then they motion someone else, he could definitely do that, get set closer to the line of scrimmage, and do the motion. That's my only gripe. And again, I do think I'm pounding the table. I wish there was like a what are those? I'm so not a bettor. I don't even know what they're called. Where like you have these prop bet. Where like, is McCaffrey going to score off from lining up 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage in motion or shift? I bet they have something crazy. I hope they have something crazy that they've just been setting up, playing the long game for this Super Bowl, this moment, to have something crazy out of that motion. I hope so. If they do, I will feel a sense of vindication for hating on it so much during the year, because it doesn't make sense to me. Dewey. Eagles hire Kellen Moore. I've been watching the Chargers tape. There's stuff I really like and stuff I'm disappointed to see. What do you think? I think Kellen Moore, when he was in Dallas, was one of my more someone I enjoyed watching what they were doing scheme-wise. I thought they, have what I would consider like a robust NFL offense. They have high volume, a lot of shifts, a lot of motions, multiple tempos. He gives his quarterbacks answers, it looks like, for like hots, zeros, different coverages. I'd be excited, for whatever reason it didn't catch fire in 1 year in LA. I don't think that's necessarily a reason to go down in the dumps. I'd go back and watch the Cowboy stuff more than I would go watch the Charger stuff. Bellissimo. Ba-boom. Issues / concerns evaluating air raid QBs for a West Coast offense. It's going to hurt a lot of cert peeps out there, but I have concerns about air raid quarterbacks all the time. I mean, the reality is, and my guy Kurt Warner gets a little bit more upset about this than I probably do, although I acknowledge it's a problem. So much, at least, and again, not certified. Okay, not certified. I like certain air raid concepts. So much of what I understand the air raid to be is pure progression, meaning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like every play is like that. And they do routes on air, and they just want the quarterback program 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with like a handful of concepts. Well, that shit just doesn't work in the league. That's not how NFL offenses operate. They need more answers, and they need to be able to take advantage of more things, matchups, tendencies. The run game is going to be much more robust. They're going to carry more volume. They're going to have more formations, more motions, more shifts. It's just different. And so, and you're not, and like even in air raid stuff, like they check all the time at the line of scrimmage. Like even watching Caleb Williams, like he's checking at the line of scrimmage every other play. Like to get into just like what I would consider like cookie cutter looks that you're just not going to see in the league. So yeah, it's a problem. I think you can get through it because you got to be able to see like, hey, what we're watching on film, does that translate to the league? If we're hanging back there, they're rushing 3 people, their offensive line is doing crazy vertical sets, and we're just sitting back there with nobody around us going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like that's not going to work in the NFL. But does he play with a great clock? Does he play with some rhythm? Can he rip the ball outside the numbers? Like, is he making all the throws? I think you can get that in the air raid. So yes and no. Boom. Shane. Non-QB question. Uh-oh. It should be non-QB school. What makes a good NFL role player at skill positions? I think you have to be good at something. Like you can't be. I think the easy answer would be like a special teams guru. Was around a number of guys that were like special teams kind of Pro Bowlers. Those types of things. A dynamic returner, all world special teams tackler. Glue guy, good locker room guy, good dude, great energy. Can serve as like a third down back. Can be a slot guy, those types of things, is a blocking tight end, like those types of things. You got to be good at something. You can't just be like meh at everything. You're not going to catch on in the league. And so filling a role at a really high level, but then being able to make an impact in multiple spots is probably the easiest answer. And really the easier answer is probably just being really good at teams, like special teams. Nate, I think AR-15, I think he wants to get away from that. No, maybe it's something else. I forget what his name is. People got mad at me for using his nickname. Can make it a passer. Can he make it as a passer in the league, especially when you consider him being paired with Shane? My only hang up with is his durability. Yeah, I mean, everybody's going to be hung up on his durability. It's got a super small sample size where he wasn't durable. But I think if people went into the season saying who's going to be the most durable guy, he's the biggest, strongest guy of those guys who probably came in last year and just didn't work out for one reason or another. So the durability thing will be something that will be an issue until he proves he can, sustain multiple seasons out there. I personally think he can absolutely, turn into that kind of guy, and I'd be fired up to play in that offense. I love the creativity in that offense. Yeah, they asked the quarterback to run when he's in there. I think that's an asset. Yes, you have to stay healthy. Yeah, you're living on the edge when you run your quarterback. Welcome to the league. High tech. Based on what you've seen on film, what have the Chiefs done differently to turn their season around? Well, the easy answer is catch the ball on the perimeter. I think everybody has elevated their game a little bit. I think Patrick Mahomes has elevated his game. I don't know if you could play much better than Patrick Mahomes has played in the playoffs. Essentially taking care of the ball, being so timely on making plays. I mean, it's just kind of crazy how well he's playing. And so all those things paired together with them playing better when it matters most has kind of elevated that entire unit. And I like how they run the ball. I think Pacheco runs so angry that there's a vibe like something that feeds into the way that they play with his aggression running the ball that carries over into some other elements that maybe they haven't had in the past. So all those things together, pretty sweet. Micah, sup, JT. Love the content, man. Any thoughts on Arthur Smith to the Steelers? Not really. I mean, what are they going to do at the quarterback position? Is Arthur Smith the guy who's going to help, elevate someone who's already there in the room? They're going to go some other direction. I don't know. Are people excited in Pittsburgh that Arthur Smith is going to be calling plays? I think in Tennessee, he proved that he could elevate a unit. I think for whatever reason in Atlanta, they could never get the quarterback position right. Everything else felt hard. They never felt like they were able to quite capitalize on maybe where their matchups were or where their winners were. And so just felt hard every single week. But I think that had as much to do with the quarterback as anything else. Does that change in Pittsburgh with the quarterback play? We'll see. We'll see. How long we been going here? A little 30-ish minutes. We can go a little bit longer here if you got questions. I'm going to probably try to, talk a little bit about Caleb Williams here, just because I've most recently watched a couple of his games. I'm going to watch the Washington one probably this afternoon or tomorrow. Just a really special player. Like, I don't know how people can watch that film and not just see kind of eye-popping talent. Some magical throws, and it's not one-off. It's pretty consistent. I don't think he's getting any help at the end of the year at USC at the offensive line. In fact, the right side is borderline malpractice certain spots. I don't think he was getting much help on the perimeter with the skill players either. But that all being said, there are just throws that are, no, I wouldn't even say translate. I would say are eye-popping at any level. And that's the difference. Like, that's when you turn on other people's film. Even in the last couple of years, you haven't seen the volume of eye-popping plays. Now, can he take those and do those in the league with a bit more consistency of the in phase, on time, in rhythm game? I honestly don't know. I don't think there's a reason why he couldn't. I think that in their system, he's got a lot more recessy options at the back end of his drop and how he manipulates time in the pocket that you probably don't see a lot of in the league. Can his game add on, that kind of timing, consistent anticipation game that you see a lot of guys play with? I think so. He does make anticipation throws. They're normally outside the numbers on kind of like first read throws. But even in the 2 games I've seen, he's working through progressions. He's throwing backside ends. You see a guy this year who's going to win the MVP who doesn't throw a lot of backside ends. So, it's pretty damn special is what I'm saying at the end of the day. I know he's probably a little polarizing to some people who aren't comfortable with the nail polish and the crying. I mean, maybe that's the tree hugger Cali kid in me that just doesn't care about that. But I just don't care about that. Now, will he be tested if he goes to certain organizations and they take a lot of L's in the first year or first couple of years? Hell yes. Hell yes. Do I know what he's going to come out the other side of? No. But I love his skill set. And unless he just absolutely takes a dump in these interviews, I don't know. I don't think there's going to be anybody close to his film coming out. So I'm excited to see what the other guys look like. But man, I really, really like watching Caleb Williams play. And I would be fired up if he went to any team that I cared about. Rashid. Hopefully I said your name right. Shabazz. I didn't even know you could gift quarterback school membership. So I appreciate that. I don't know how you did that, but thanks. Show me 71. My guy, appreciate you. The Panthers want me to be optimistic about their recent hires. Should I be? I mean, as long as Ejiro isn't out there making tackles on the back end, you'd probably be all right. I don't know, man. That's a pretty wild story to go from that head coach from, I think, 1 year as a coordinator, obviously a nice year in Tampa Bay, to running that franchise. That franchise sure appears to be a dumpster fire. I'm not sure what necessarily has changed as far as the owner. What they did front office wise seems dumpster fire-ish to me. I'm hopeful for Bryce Young's sake. Daniel Folsom, ba-boom. Kurt Warner's criticized pure progressions quite a bit. When you were playing, did you also prefer things like pick a side to pure progression? Daniel, I think I talked a little bit about this in this live already. But I'm fine with pure progressions. I think there's a time and place for pure progressions. I don't think they give the quarterback the most amount of answers. Okay, and I prefer to have as many answers as possible, or as many tools as possible to finish a job or to do a job. I will also tell you that I've been around a number of quarterbacks that struggle with shell reads, man zone reads, and that are more comfortable in pure progressions. So if that's the case, why would we do something that the quarterback's not comfortable doing or not good at? Just create it so that it's a pure progression. If I was in charge of an offense, I would have multiple ways to do it so that you can play to the strengths of your unit and your quarterback. But, do I want a quarterback back there who's trying to make the read who can't make a read? Hell no. I've been around guys who have been like, hey, this is what'd you see on this play? Oh, it's cover 2. I saw 2-man. Yeah, it was 0. What are you talking about? Not even close. Not, oh, it was closed man. No, it was closed zone. Didn't get a chance. It's all backwards. It's all bad. It's a bummer all over the place. Man, we're going to have to hit pause on this. Watch this. See if we can do this, okay? Don't freak out. Don't go anywhere. We're going to see how many people hang around, how many people don't. I'm going to hit pause, check something out. We'll be back in less than a minute. Man, I tell you what, survived that. That was some interesting music going from a iPad alarm. I should have put some music in. I don't know if I've ever done a live pause. Hopefully it survived. You survived. All right, we got to be winding down here. Starting to space out. I don't even remember what we were talking about. Man, Leon, easy, bro. Easy guy. We were talking about the pure progression thing. So at the end of the day, most systems in the league, I would say, carry all of the above. Every type of read. High, low, off the mic, off the safety, off coverage, off access, man or zone, different types of shells, whatever. I think as you play, your coaches can form what you do best to allow that to be the dominant part of the plan. And depending on your opponent, you can have it change every single week. So I do think when you live in a world where you're only one thing, you're much more vulnerable for having someone eventually going to get the answer to that. That would be kind of the overall gist on the pure progression thing. I don't hate them, especially as a play caller at lower levels. Bro, we're having pure progressions for sure. Alexander FS. Hey, JT, new sub. Appreciate you, Alexander. I live in Canada and hoping to get a front office job in the CFL. Okay. I saw some Rough Rider fans last weekend in Disneyland. Talked to them. They had some great Rough Rider gear on. It was pouring. Was wondering if you'd make a couple of videos breaking down CFL play this season. Maybe. Probably not. Eddie Dale Jr. Opinion of Greg Roman coming to the Chargers. Is this official? Is he officially the offense coordinator for the Chargers? My honest answer is I'm kind of excited. Like, I want to see the Greg Roman revenge tour. Like, I want to see him go out there and fucking spin it everywhere with Justin Herbert. Just spin it, spin it, spin it. Now, will they do that? Probably not. You know, Harbaugh's going to Harbaugh. They're going to be in 21 personnel. They're going to be in a bunch of heavy formations, and I bet they'll be just fine. I really do. Like, I think if you could take a little bit of Greg Roman, take the main part of Greg Roman and add just a sprinkle of like some of the best elements of what other people do. And it doesn't have to be like spread stuff or air raid stuff. It just be like a more like robust passing game, like just a couple more, like a little bit more as far as, you know, being able to just drive the ball down the field, create some big plays, some explosives. Because what they were so good in the run game that if they took that same approach to an element of the passing game, I just feel like it could be a lot of fun. We'll see though. Paco, no, I missed your super chat. My bad, dog. Oh, I did miss a couple super chats. Let me go back. There you go. Which skill set do you prefer in a prospect? Processing, timing, accuracy, poise, or arm talent, size, athleticism, etc.? Prefer in a prospect. I don't know how I would ever know about processing. Timing, meh. I would probably say accuracy, really close with arm talent. Like, you have to be able to make all the throws. If you can't make all the throws or the vast, vast majority of the throws, you're not going to get an opportunity in the league. Like, you don't have to be a massive arm, like a huge cannon arm, but you can't throw change ups to like the flat or the hitch and then, never drive the ball down the field. So yeah, so I would say accuracy and arm talent, like pretty close. Nate, that's not going to happen. Appreciate you though. See, I've seen a couple questions in here about Bryce Young. I personally, and I know it's hard when you're in it and you're a fan and that franchise is, tough right now. I just would challenge you to just, as hard as you can be, just like pump the brakes and let's come look at this thing after like 3 years. If it feels like it felt this year after 3 years, then it might not be working. Similar to like the Justin Fields thing, if I'm being honest. Like if after 3 years you're still saying like, hey, is this what we want to do? It's probably not for that organization. And so let's give it some time. Robbie, I don't know if it was you, but I saw somebody else ask me out there if I've ever seen pro darts in the chant. I've seen it because I used to live in Europe and I feel like it was on like Sky TV all the time. But no, we have a dartboard at the house. I don't play a lot of darts. Waffle House. Purdy can't make deep throws, right? And he's in the Super Bowl. Don't have to make 100% of the throws. No one said you have to make 100% of the throws, Waffle House. I do think, I will say this, man. Not only do I want to see that McCaffrey shift motion pay off for everyone, but if Purdy hits that deep pylon, like deep flag, I'm going to be fired up. I'm going to be fired up. And this is the last, not the last thing I say, because we might do another live before the Super Bowl. But I don't know, unless you're from Kansas City, like you're a Chiefs fan, I don't know how you couldn't be cheering for Brock Purdy if you're just a quarterback fan. Like I could see how you would be turned off by maybe some of the 49ers things, but like the story of Brock Purdy is awesome. Like there aren't very many elements of it that aren't awesome. Where he got picked, how he got his opportunity, coming back from an injury, having some struggles this year, battling back, struggling in the playoffs, comeback wins. I mean, there's a lot to love about that story. If you don't like that story, I have a hard time making sense of your angle on this. Now I get it. If you're just a fan of Patrick Mahomes, or you think Patrick Mahomes is just so good that that's who you're going to cheer for. Okay. But like the Brock Purdy experience, the Brock Purdy story is pretty damn awesome. We'll see if what it shakes out like. The crazy thing about it is that, Brock Purdy, I saw someone in here who was it, Anthony, Brock Purdy, an underdog story. He is an underdog story, no doubt. But he is on the dominant team, right? Like they've been the favorites every game this year. So like making sense of that is hard. Similar to like last year, I don't know if it was last year, a couple years ago, when Kelsey like freaked out after the Super Bowl and was like, nobody believed in us, or, the jabroni thing. Like, bro, I mean, these guys are some of the best organizations in the world in any sports. You're not the underdog. Okay. Save me that kind of talk. Now, if you want to trick yourself, like if you're like getting Kirby smarted and thinking you're the underdog at Georgia, okay, like you're just getting tricked. Okay. It's about one game, playing your best in those moments, if it matters most down the stretch, those types of things. Yeah. Everything else, though, that Purdy story is pretty damn awesome. Matthew coming in huge. Boom. Matthew Rowley. See what you got. I love football and have been enjoying your breakdowns all year. Just wanted to send some cash your way and say thanks. Go Niners. Matthew, appreciate it. Appreciate the support. It does mean a lot to me. I do enjoy the channel, and it's fun for me when it resonates with people, adds a little bit of depth, nuance to their understanding. If they enjoy the game, watching it more after watching the videos, I do get a kick out of that. So I really appreciate you sharing that. What else we got? All right, I think that's a wrap. Probably come back and do it again. If you want to see that Caleb Williams versus Oregon game, it's going live right now. Hop over to the Patreon community. Appreciate y'all. See you on the other side.